Welcome to Entrepreneurial Entrails for some short stories on the guts and glories of being an entrepreneur.
Short people got no reason. Short people got no reason.
Hey, it's Elizabeth Plouffe with Entrepreneurial Entrails, and today is Thursday, July 7th. And I haven't been starting with the date before on any of the other podcasts, which I think I'm probably going to because, who knows when I've done these crazy things. But today's an interesting day. So I don't know if I've talked about it before, but I have a coach. I have a friend of mine, Mike Edwards, and he's not only an agile and transformational coach, but he's also a life and business coach. And I've had coaches before. It hasn't always worked out fantastic. But this one, props to Mike, and I hope he listens. So far, honestly, working out really well, because it won't be a shock to anybody who's listened to any of my other podcasts that I'm a bit of a talker. But I'm also a talker when I'm solving problems, and I also do better with problem solving when I have a group or somebody to bounce stuff off of. And personal stuff, though, is hard for me. Really hard for me to talk to people about, hard for me to share about. No idea why. I'm sure it's, buried in my psyche somewhere. But when you're dealing with a situation where your business is running into your personal life and they're impacting one another, you need to deal with both sides of the issue in order to have success either way. And so today, I had the great task of being a mom and taking my daughter to work for 7 o'clock this morning, which was a whole bunch of happy. And had planned to go for a walk on the beach because Mike and I had a call scheduled for 8 o'clock in the morning. He lives out in Kitchener, and I'm here in the Burlington area. But anyway, ended up having to go to LaSalle Marina, which if you are from the Burlington area and you haven't been down there, you got to go. It's not only is it a marina with a wicked view of the Skyway Bridge and also a wicked view of Stelco, which, is interesting. It's also a swan sanctuary in an ironic twist. Or a bird sanctuary in general, because this morning I had swans, beautiful, great big blue heron came in, cardinals, like all kinds of stuff. I'm processing my photos and I'm losing my mind. And so I took an opportunity to plan ahead and bring some breakfast with me. And me and this family of swans had a little hoo-ha this morning while I connected with nature and sort of de-stressed a bit and all the stuff that my husband tells me to do all the time, which I'm a bit stubborn about that. So anyway, Mike and I ended up chatting. And it was interesting because it ties together with a couple of things that I've been doing lately to sort of move past any roadblocks. And I'm sure if you're also an entrepreneur, small business owner, or anybody who's pursuing a project that requires your sole dedication and could in fact be your sole form of income, fear is a huge motivator, and it's also a huge block. So for me, it's running both ways right now. And one of the things Mike and I talked about was, skills and do I believe in myself and all that good stuff. And I don't say that in a dismissive tone, but it's a conversation that I've had before. And it was interesting because it was the first time in my head anyway that I admitted that I was afraid about the level of belief I have in myself. And I don't think I said this to him. So Mike, if you're listening, woohoo, lessons learned. Because there's just nothing else that grabs me the way I'm doing what I'm doing right now does. And that's scary. If you're still in employee mode and you're thinking about going into entrepreneur mode, having that belief is absolutely concretely necessary, because if you don't believe in what you're doing, stay where you are. It's so necessary. And I've read it over and over again. And it's not until you're forced to sort of question that belief or, what roadblocks you're facing that you kind of go, it really is 100% necessary. So the precursor to the conversation that I had with Mike was I got these iTunes gift certificates from my brother for, I think, birthday or what have you. And so I ended up downloading the audio version of Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic, which is her book on fear and creativity and what have you. And she was going through the fear part, and I tend to listen to audiobooks, and I hope you're doing this too. I tend to listen to podcasts and audiobooks while I'm doing something else. Just tends to keep my brain occupied, and then I can listen to it several times, and I can get quite a lot out of it. But as she was going through the fear section, I was kind of like, psh, God, no, not me, not afraid. I'm creative all over the place. You know, I have a podcast, I am a photographer, I do graphic stuff, I do web design, I bake, I have a cake decorating business. I got creative oozing out of me like I don't know, I'm going to say a rash, but rashes don't necessarily ooze out of you. And I've never been afraid to tackle any of those things. But it wasn't until today, talking to Mike, where I truly looked at the root of the bit of the block that I'm having right now with my business. And it is based in fear. Damn it. Between Elizabeth Gilbert and Mike Edwards, people are busting down my stuff here. So couple of things, and I have to remember to do this more often because Mike and I have these great conversations as part of our coaching relationship. And while you're in it, you're on the phone, right? Or even face to face. You don't want to be furiously scribbling and ignoring somebody. So we started talking. The two things were fear and networking. And not that I'm afraid of networking, but you get kind of tired of networking because you see these people, and I love them all, like wonderful people. And I don't mean this in a negative way by any stretch. But when you see people that are struggling again and again within the networking situation and their business doesn't seem to be moving forward from what you can see anyway, in the back of my mind anyway, I discovered today, it's like, dang, I don't want to be 60 and still grinding like this. I don't mind working with passion, but 60, I better be able to go to Italy for 2 weeks and just kick off my capris and have a little Prosecco. And so that kind of freaks me out. It's kind of kept me away from networking because I'm like, dang, why should I bother? I'm getting back into it. I already reached out and I'm going to be connecting with some new groups. But the other thing was I started writing out, the fear stuff that Mike and I talked about as far as the business is concerned. And I kept writing down what if before every sentence that I wrote. And, people telling me this is not a plug for me. I don't like to do shameless plugs, but, people tell me that I'm talented and I'm good at what I do. And this was part of what Mike was getting me to do, list your skills and all that stuff. And then I wrote down after, but what if they're lying? What if they're wrong? What if, their perception of my talent and abilities isn't enough to have a business? Just because I like baking doesn't mean I should, open up a bakery. And then I wrote down some other what if stories, what if I don't know when to pull the chute and recognize that this is just not going to be my path and I need to diversify or become an employee again or what have you. But anyway, the point being, all of the statements around the fears started with what if. And quite a number of years ago, I attended a conference on the uselessness of what if. And it was a really powerful 2-day conference that I took after my dad passed away. And this was 25 years ago. And I still remember, the penny dropping on the insignificance and the uselessness of the phrase, what if? And the fact that I wrote down the fear component of the conversation with my coach this morning, and every single statement started with what if, just sort of brings it home to me right now that fear is as useless as what if. And what if I don't? What if I do? What if I? Well, yes, you should be objective. Yes, you should be realistic. Yes, you should look at scenarios. I'm a massive contingent planner. And the uselessness of what if pertains more to things that have happened in the past, as far as, what if my dad hadn't died? Well, he did, so, can't change that. What if I had, not gone to college and got my postgraduate in corporate communications? Well, I did. So, what are you going to do about it now? Anyway, part of my point for today is that if you are new to entrepreneurship or, seeking a new project or whatever, expect that fear component and reach out for help with that. And I don't mean in a touchy-feely, let's sing Kumbaya kind of way, but Find someone that you admire and trust and respect, and talk through your fear. Because the fear is, don't get me wrong, it's real-ish. But allowing it to negatively impact your decision-making, allowing it to skew your view of opportunities and possibilities, that's where it falls in line with the uselessness of what if from, that's my phone, of past conversations or past situations. So from me to you, if you're dealing with fear right now, or if you think you are and you're not sure about it, you probably are, and you're just like me and you're stubborn and you don't want to admit it, reach out for help. Find someone to talk to. Find a decent coach. Find a group you trust, whatever works for you. Listen to The Big Magic. I'm going to be reviewing it on my Wise Word Wednesdays in a couple of weeks when I'm done listening to it. And that's all I got for today, What if I hadn't recorded this podcast? Then you wouldn't know that being afraid is normal, and you wouldn't know that there are steps you can take to get past it and change your what if into an I can statement or something like that. Anyway, hope you're having a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
They got little cars that go beep, beep, beep. They got